Okay, I have kind of a fun little story time to start today's podcast episode. Okay. I don't usually talk about past relationships before Matt just because obviously I'm married to Matt and that was like my biggest win in life. So there's really no point. But I feel like I'm far enough removed that I can kind of talk about some things that happened when I was younger and some of my earlier relationships. So I got married really young, obviously. I got engaged at 18, married at 19, which is, great. But I also had already graduated college, already started my career. Like I have done my entire life very early on. And a part of that was because I was homeschooled and I skipped a ton of grades. So at 15, I was already taking community college classes. And I tried to always appear older and I always dated older guys. Like I just lived a lot of life very quickly, which is why I think I was prepared to marry Matt at such a young age, is because I had already had, oh my gosh, this is crazy, like probably 20 boyfriends. I'm not even kidding. Okay. From the moment I was allowed to get my first boyfriend when I think I was 14, maybe 14 ish, when I was allowed to start dating. Mind you, I dated a lot before that. And older guys too, because again, I was around college age people and I was older and I, I dated a lot. I also like kind of hid my age for a while. So bad, guys. So bad, but it's just the truth, okay? So yeah, I dated a lot. Anyways, I was talking to Matt and we were kind of talking about exes, and he really only had like one ex. And it's just kind of funny because we had very different experiences, and most of the time I would like convince people to break up with me. Okay, like I never wanted to be the one to actually break up with someone because I always felt so guilty. So I would, oh, this is so toxic. Oh my gosh. I would like make them break up with me. Like I would either get like so annoying or so like immature because I was young. I was young to be dating all of these people. And it was so bad, guys. It was so bad. Anyways, all of that to say, I had a couple serious relationships. Ones that I like kind of thought like, this is it. And I think like I really thought that it was it. Even though I was young, I just kind of assumed I was going to get married young, and obviously I did. And anyways, I'm like stalling, sorry. So I dated this one guy, okay, and I was in love. Okay, I was obsessed with this guy. There were so many red flags about this guy, okay? But I was like, nope, I'm not even looking at those. Okay, we're just flying past all the stop signs and we're going full speed. And I was 16 maybe. And it was like my everything. It was all I thought about. And mind you, at this time, like I was wrapping up my associate's degree, so I was about to start applying for a 4-year college so I could transfer in and finish up my bachelor's, because I finished my bachelor's at 18. And he was 18 going on 19, and he was like leaving for school, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go where you go, which was like in the middle of nowhere. Not a fun college at all. Also, like I had so many scholarships offered to me, and I was like about to go to this one school that like barely offered me any money just so I could be with him. Okay, this was the whole point, is I wanted to be with this guy. And he was like talking about getting my name tattooed. It was just ew. It was just such a immature young relationship. Okay, and but it was it for me. Okay, so um, I he cheated. He lived like 30 minutes away, and he drove to my city, to my neighborhood, and slept with my neighbor. Okay, he slept with my neighbor. And my ex-boyfriend, one of them, was really good friends with the girl, and the girl was like, "Oh my gosh, like I slept with her boyfriend," and she was really young. Okay? She was a freshman. And she was like, and I lied about my age, and Belle doesn't know. It's like this whole power play. And I was like, okay. So my ex called me and was like, hey, just so you know, I heard this rumor that your current boyfriend's like cheating on you. And we were good friends, me and my ex. And I was like, dude, you're freaking lying. And I remember I called my boyfriend at the time and I was like, hey, like there's this rumor going around my school, which is weird because we live 30 minutes away, that you came here and like came into our town, which our town was pretty small, and like slept with this other girl. And mind you, I was not sleeping with this boy. So I was like shocked. And he was just dead silent on the phone. And I remember sitting there and my eyes just got so wide. And then he was like, I'm coming over. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's true. Okay, I lose it. I hang up the phone, like wailing. I was like, my life is over. My windows were all open. My mom goes and shuts all the windows because I was like sobbing. And he gets to the house and he's like, it was a mistake. And here's what he did. He said, I did it because I loved you too much to put you in the position of needing to sleep with me, but I needed to have sex. Okay. So anyways, laughing out loud, absolutely insane. And I was so head over heels for this guy. I forgave him and kept dating him. I dated him for like another maybe month and then made him break up with me. I like got to the point where I was like, I don't think I can ever forgive you. And he was like, okay, well then we can't move forward with this relationship. And he broke up with me. Oh my gosh. You know how embarrassing that is for me to tell you? That he cheated on me. And I was too scared to break up with him. So I made him break up with me by acting kind of crazy. Like, what was I doing? What was I doing? Oh, this is so bad. So anyways, all of that to say, then the girl, she wanted to play on the volleyball team. I was the varsity captain. And so she tried out for the freshman team. And I remember thinking like, okay, nice try, honey. So she showed up with her mom to parent night and I was again varsity captain. So I walked up to her mother, okay? And her face drops. And I was like, hi, my name is Belle. I'm the varsity captain. I just want to introduce myself to all the parents. I would love to get coffee at some point to discuss your daughter's future on the team and behaviors that may inhibit it. And she sat there white, like her face absolutely lost all blood color. And her mom was like, oh my gosh, like, yes, that's so fantastic. Yes. And I was like, great, see you soon. And I like looked at her and then I turned around and she dropped out of the team. So anyways, now why did I tell you this full story? Because I was reflecting on this and I realized about, I don't know, 6 months, year ago, that there was still a little bit of resentment in my heart. There was still a little bit of pain, a little bit of disgust, a little bit of just bitterness that I had not let go of. And I don't think it was obviously because I had any sort of like emotional ties to it or like because I missed, like there wasn't any of that. But I was still kind of like pissed off when I thought about it too long. And I felt like I had let it go a while ago, but it had like kind of creeped back into my heart. And it just like was kind of bothering me a little bit. Like the fact that I had let this dude walk all over me, and then like the fact that I had to be so petty to this girl, like it was just messy, and I was kind of like disgusted with myself in a lot of ways. And there was just like honestly the resentment was towards myself, if I'm gonna be honest. Like I was like disgusted with myself, the way that I acted and the way that I handled it. And Matt and I had talked about our exes recently and just like kind of like reflecting on how we got to the point where we were ready to marry each other and how I went from that to 2 years later, like walking, like literally getting engaged, and just kind of what happened in that whole cycle to make that possible. And all of that to say, I realized that I still had a little bit of resentment in me for the whole thing. Okay, so I want to talk about practical ways that are rooted in scripture and real life to help prevent resentment and also to kind of kill it in the heart, because it lives there. It does. And so the first point was that I had to understand what resentment actually was and why it was in me, okay? Resentment is anger or bitterness that is lingering because of hurt or disappointment. And it's important to realize that it's a heart issue. It's not just a reaction to someone else's actions. So when I say I had resentment, it really wasn't like this like just broken heart over the way that these people in my life had treated me, but rather it was more about the fact that I had handled it so poorly and that there's so many things that I wish I could go back. And my heart was just like, it was full of regret, genuinely. That's kind of what it was. It was like regret. And the Bible's really clear in Proverbs 4:23 that we need to like guard our hearts. And that means watching and kind of making sure we are aware of what we're letting grow inside. Okay. And so once we're aware of whatever situation is causing a bit of resentment, we have to practice forgiveness early and then often. Okay. So forgiveness is not just a one time act. Okay. Hear me when I say this. Forgiveness is not just a one time act. Genuinely, okay? It is a daily choice for a lot of big issues, or maybe it's a monthly choice, or maybe it's yearly, whatever it is. Sometimes resentment on things that we think we are past, we are over, builds back up in us, and we have to re-forgive. We have to redo that process because we remember things or we start thinking about things a little bit too long and we're like, you know what? I'm not over that right now. Ephesians 4:31-32 encourages us to put away bitterness and be kind and forgiving because Christ forgave us. So forgiveness is going to free me more than anyone else. And that includes for myself. Like I had to forgive myself. I literally had to be there and be like, okay, wow, I have never once like said, shoot, that was bad. That was ugly. And more than that though, that's okay. I was a young girl. I was very emotional and I didn't know how to handle it. And how sweet is it that there's growth here, that I've moved on. So I forgive myself for those actions that I did. And then when it comes to communication, it has to, sometimes resentment grows because we do not express our feelings. Like I could have sat with this and been like, oh my gosh, that was so long ago. I should be so over this. It's so stupid that I'm feeling any sort of bitterness about something that happened, 8 years ago. But finding gentle and honest ways to communicate will help me release any built up hurt. Now, for me, I'm not about to go contact these people. Okay. I am not about to go say to these people, dude, I got some feelings building back up from all this stuff that happened years ago about how I was treated. No. I'm not going to do that. But what I am going to do is communicate with myself and honestly, Matt too. Like Matt is so helpful through this process of just being like, hey, like you're really in your head about the way that you acted and things that you let happen. Deep breath. This was years ago. And having someone else kind of step in and remind me that my thoughts are not my reality. Like I don't have to be crazy about all of these things that happened years ago is so helpful. So just kind of having someone to bounce these ideas off of and be like, hey, is it normal that I feel this way? Okay, yes or no. Either way, here's how we move on. And then setting healthy boundaries, because avoiding resentment does not mean tolerating everything. And I think that's kind of what I thought I was doing. I was avoiding having to deal with the feelings by tolerating the people around me and by continuing to date him and by not just like going to the coach and being like, hey, just so you know, I'm really struggling because there's this girl on the freshman court. This is what happened. And I'm struggling with that. And like, you know what I mean? Just like, can I not be overseeing the freshman drills as captain right now? There were ways that I could have communicated healthily and set healthy boundaries, but instead chose to kind of harbor on some things and to continue things. And I didn't have to do that. And so anyways, all of that to say, I've learned a lot of lessons about resentment. I've learned a lot of times that even things, and like, listen, this is kind of like, yes, it was very like upsetting when it happened, but this is also really light-hearted things. There are way bigger things that also happen in life that have to be re-forgiven. New boundaries have to be set often because there are hurts that people go through, that you and I go through from people that we are close to. And we need to figure out where the resentment's coming from, whether it's pointed towards ourselves and the way we reacted or towards someone else. Figuring it out, communicating in a loving way, and then focusing, shifting your perspective on what you can and can't control, and then setting those healthy boundaries whether it's stepping back or saying no, but doing so with so much love and wisdom, that is how we avoid resentment or kill resentment that's currently in our hearts. That's what we have to focus on. So, resentment does not have to be your entire story. You don't have to be someone that it looks back at high school and is like, oh my gosh, this happened to me. Or, you know what I mean? Like, honestly, it's something that with God's help and practical steps like these, you can guard your heart against resentment from things that happened long ago or things that are happening currently and live with freedom and joy. That's the ultimate goal, is that we're going to live in freedom and joy that Christ has already preserved for us. All right. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you enjoyed hearing my traumatic story from high school, the chaos of it all. And you know what? I love that I got to share this with you. But anyways, love you so much. And yeah, let's try to kill some of this resentment, huh?